Okay, for anybody that knows me, I have a problem with magazines. I've been reading them for as long as I can remember. In fact, I got my start reading outside and outdoor photographer. That's kind of where I got my start in photography, and always had great adventure stories and kind of helped spark my interest in the outdoors. And seeing images like this, who wouldn't want to, go out and take photos and have adventures? Um, anything from Nepal to the Boundary Waters to Moab, a little bit of everything. Well, when I finally did get started in photography, I started slow with a lot of animal photos. We don't have mule deer here in Minnesota. Shot a lot of animal photos, deer, smaller animals. Lots of, got some bear photos in the mix. And all this while, I'm starting to, get ready for photo school, and I went out to Missoula, Montana, the Rocky Mountain School of Photography back in '98, and I had the opportunity to shoot a lot of landscapes. Of course, this particular image is Southern California, the Joshua Tree National Park. Spent an entire summer doing nothing but shooting photos and learning the different, darkroom techniques and, film techniques at the time, and, lots of landscape photos. But I, also started doing a lot more people photos, which I think is the next slide. Wait here. Lots of people photos. For about the last, about '98 until 4 or 5 years ago, I concentrated primarily on people photography. Kind of a, more along the lines of like the Rolling Stone, Esquire, Vanity Fair type of photos. Then, something was always missing, and I started getting back to my roots as, outdoor adventure. And, started going on more trips again, and this one's Boundary Waters. Just crossed over a log that had fallen over the portage. Since then, I've been to this particular lake, I think, 4 times, and started doing more backpacking. This Superior hiking trail. I've hiked, been out to the Wind Rivers in Wyoming, and kind of, the outdoor adventure stuff's taken me all over the country, and I started noticing one thing with the magazines that I love so much, that they weren't telling the stories that were anything like my experiences. There was getting fewer and fewer first-person accounts of, epic, moments on the trail, and, slogging through 6-7 inches of mud and water, having your camp stove flame up and, light your tent on fire, kind of an experience. And it's happened more than once. Luckily, it's never happened to me, but I've heard the stories. And, I've, in all my adventures, I'd started hearing from other people, all these great stories that were, a lot like the stories I had. It's, great stories that you would hear people telling around the campfire and over beer, and you just weren't hearing those in the magazines. And all this while, I'm still out having my own adventures, and things are kind of, ideas are brewing, and it's I got to the point where I actually tried starting an online magazine called The Outdoor Voice. Never really got any traction with that, and it wasn't until I think I came out with an idea for a calendar, which I think is the next slide. This particular one happened to be within the city limits of Los Angeles. It's a very famous rock climbing area where a lot of the well-known climbers of the day kind of got their start, and then some gooseberry or ice climbing at this point. Lost track of where I was at here. Yeah, there's nothing quite like hearing water rushing underneath the ice while you're trying to climb it. And some Moab mountain biking. And back today, I tried clearing my head for this. I went for a nice long 2-hour bike ride and ended up breaking the spoke on the way back. So I had to kind of limp in a little bit because back wheel was a little all over the place. Here's the calendar project that kind of kicked off where the Adventure Bum went. Everybody loved the idea, loved the photos, and so I went ahead and printed this, and then nobody bought it. Yeah, 3,000 copies, and I sold less than 100, I think. Yeah, it's kind of brutal. But I kept the idea, or kept the title alive, and decided to start my own outdoor adventure magazine again. And I called it The Adventure Bum. And it's all first-person stories from just about anybody. If you have a story that you would tell sitting around a campfire, this is the place where you would share it. And so far, this is the cover of our second issue. And it's been going really well. Always open to new stories, and we've had a broad range of things from hiking in the Himalayas to train hopping from LA to Portland. And like my favorite magazine, end here on a bit of a funny note, and with elk in Yellowstone have been trained to use the crosswalks to avoid cars. So, thank you.